Hi guys, hope you're okay. This is Daniel. So this is a quick video talking about the pitfalls and maybe the advantages of being a streamline thinker. And by streamline thinker, what I mean is a person who doesn't tend to really think about the things that they say. And now that sounds really a bit like an oxymoron, but what I mean is, if you know anything about your personality type, I use the Myers Briggs method to try and gauge who I am when I'm not necessarily using astrology. And I am an ENFP, which is an extroverted, intuitive, feeling and perceiving type. And that basically means that I draw a lot of my energy from external sources. I tend to use my intuition to make decisions. I am a feeler more than a thinker. And by being a perceptive person, I usually tend to be quite reactive to the environment that I'm in. So with that said, that usually creates a situation where you get someone who is very spontaneous, very fluidic. And for a lot of years, I've always tried to kind of do things a certain way when it comes to the way that I think about things, the way I present information, because I am not really the person who makes lists most of the time. I can make lists and sometimes I can make some very good ones, but generally, when it comes to thinking off the cuff and maybe being a bit responsive and adaptable to certain situations, I generally tend to do quite well when I don't really know what the outcome of the situation is likely to be. Or maybe not even the outcome of the situation, maybe it's just the actual process of going through it. And an example I can give, usually for me, pertains to interviews. For the longest time, I used to always over-prepare for interviews. I used to research the company, I used to research the job role, and maybe I was getting too caught up in the idea of what I needed to say and the perception of what I needed to say, that I almost rehearsed my answers to a point where it felt like it was very, just maybe not very natural. And that, in some ways, is not a bad thing, because I think when you research a topic or when you do become familiar with something, you give yourself a really good chance to have mastery of your craft in the moment. But for people like me who are very sporadic and off the cuff, sometimes it's actually really good just to actually go in without actually having to overthink what you're going to say, because essentially you can have more of a natural flow and you can be more receptive to the moment as opposed to thinking about how you want to be perceived, and just focus on just being perceived in the way that you are naturally coming across. So it took me a long time to really get to grips with this aspect of myself. And I think making YouTube videos is a really good way of also trying to gauge that, because a lot of the time I get on camera, I'm not really sure what exactly I'm going to say. I just hope that the inspiration will come to me at some point, and usually it does, but because I've really struggled with the idea of what I want the theme of the channel to be, sometimes it can be really difficult to align that purpose with just the execution of doing something. So the byproduct of that is that you tend to get a lot of procrastination. Well, I get a lot of procrastination. And this is the reason why I think it's good just to try and do things and sometimes not think so much about it, because when you allow yourself the freedom just to get on camera and freestyle, just allow yourself to be a bit more free-flowing in the moment and let the energy just do its thing, then that can become a little bit more of an advantage than if you were to overthink what you want to say. And it's not to say, again, that it's bad to have a rehearsed script, but don't let the absence of that script be the thing that stops you from taking action. So they're my quick thoughts on streamline thinking. If this resonates, I'd love to hear from you. If this is something that you can resonate with, what I've just said, excuse me, let me know your thoughts and comments below. If it's just something that you find interesting, I'd also like to hear from you. Feel free to like the video as well, I like that. But yeah, take care, speak soon, take care, and yeah, goodbye.